أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد, we continue with the journey to the Hereafter series, and we are still speaking about the paradise. This is the 11th lesson on the paradise, and we are up to speaking about those that Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in the Quran that inherit al-Firdaus al-A'la, the higher levels of the paradise. And we began last week with their description, and we'll just go over them very quickly today, and we'll finish off what we stopped from where we stopped at last week, inshallah. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون والذين هم لأماناتهم وعدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. Verily, indeed, the believers are successful. And then Allah Azza wa Jal goes on to describe these believers who are successful, those who have concentration in their prayers, and those who regarding idle matters which are not beneficial, they move away from, and those who regarding the zakat, the obligatory charity, they pay, and those who protect their private parts except from their wives and that which their right hand possess, which we mentioned last week, meaning slaves. Regarding them there is no blame, and you can enjoy them and seek your carnal desires, and you can be pleased through those halal means. But whoever seeks a way other than that, then they indeed are the transgressors. We stopped here. We stopped here after we spoke about this. Just a few points on that before we continue. When it comes to a person enjoying the fulfillment of his desires with his spouse, this person gets hasanat from Allah Azza wa Jal. When a person does something in the halal and the intention is to stay away from the haram, they get rewarded by Allah Azza wa Jal. When the Prophet ﷺ said this to the companions, وَفِي بُضِعِ أَحَدُكُمْ صَدَقَةً, verily in the intimacy one of you has with with those that are halal for him, and when one of you is intimate, it is a charity. It is as if he is giving charity. It's a means of him earning rewards. They said, Ya Rasulullah, أَيَّاتِ أَحَدُنَا شَهْوَةً وَيَكُونُ لَهُ فِيهَا أَجْرٌ. One of us, Ya Rasulullah, fulfills his desires and he gets rewarded for it. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَرَأَيْتَ لَوْ وَضَعَ فِي حَرَامَ كَانَ عَلَيْهِ وِزْرٌ. قالوا نعم. قال فكذلك لو وضع في حلال كان له أجر أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ replied, do you not say if they were to do it in haram, would they not be sinful? They said yes. He said, then just like that, if they do it in halal, then for them is reward. And this is a golden rule in Islam, that which you do sincerely for the sake of Allah, that you say in the halal, in order for you to move away from the haram, you get rewarded for that. And this is from the great bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on us as Muslims, that not only has He made the worship of Him easy on us, in the sense that we are able to do it, like the 5 daily prayers, the month of Ramadan, only 2.5% of your wealth you have to give in obligatory charity, etc. Yani to worship Allah Azza wa Jal is more than in your capability. On top of that, even the day-to-day things that you do as a human being, Allah Azza wa Jal rewards you for. When you go and work a halal job, and your intention is, I'm working this halal job for me not to fall into the haram, to earn haram money. I'm working this job so that I can look after my responsibilities of my family and the like. I'm working this halal job so I can help the Muslims and those that are in need. This person, the work that he's doing is an act of worship. That 40 hours or 50 hours a week becomes an act of worship. When a person eats, when a person sleeps, when he does it with the right intention, these are normal things that every human being is going to do. But when he does it with the right intention, he gets rewarded for that. And this is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Also, فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. whoever seeks a path other than these, and other than the way of his wife, or in the times of slaves, if he had a slave, the man only with the female slave, in which he fulfills his desires, then all of the others is transgression. It's very important that as human beings, we understand that we have desires. And so the shaitan takes advantage of those desires to make us fall into the sins. Shaitan very, very, very rarely comes to you and says, commit this major sin, make this major mistake. It's extremely rare. What shaitan does is he takes you step by step. Hence Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Shaitan doesn't come to you and say, go and commit zina, go and fornicate, or go and commit adultery, go and cheat on your spouse. Shaitan rarely says that. It's usually a stage, step-by-step way for you to get there. You'll be a decent, upright human, upright male, upright female, and then, for example, you watch movies where there's a lot of promiscuity. The men are dressed inappropriately, the women are dressed inappropriately. It's all about boyfriend and girlfriend. There's kissing, there's holding hands, there's going on a date. Something which many people consider simple. Just simple stuff. Are you going to straight away commit zina? You're going to fornicate just from watching that movie? No, not yet. Not yet. But then you start to go up a level. Now you watch movies, you're normal, you listen to music. Assalamu alaikum. You listen, you watch movies normally, and this teenager stuff, it's not about committing zina. But now you watch movies, it's normal. You get a little bit older, no, now the movies that you watch become a lot worse than what they used to be. Where there's a love-making scene, as they call it. It's a love scene. It's not a fornication scene. It's not an adultery scene. It's not a scene where you're committing a major sin. It's not a scene where you're on your path to the hellfire. No. This is just a love scene. This is a romantic scene in the movie. But you're sitting there and you're watching. And so what's starting to happen in your heart? It's becoming more accepted. Not only is it becoming more accepted, your desires are now being aroused. Where now you start thinking, okay, I would like to try this. This is what I want to do. So by the time the person becomes 17, 18, 19, not only do they have the natural desire to want to be with the opposite gender, but now they've been influenced for almost 10 years, if not more, working their way up to accepting and normalizing this thing, and also them wanting to try it. This is just, for example, with movies. When it comes to songs, the same thing. We've spoken about music plenty of times. One of the worst things to come from it is the normalization of these sins, the believing of these sins, where there's almost not one song that you listen to except that it's talking about fornication. And a person's listening to this day and night. Again, the person's a decent person, but they listen to this every single day, every single day, every single day. It starts to become normalized. The people that you hang around, when, for example, you go to school, and by year 11 and 12, everyone's done it. Everyone's done the deed. We've got too many kids here. It's hard to speak about this. But they're going to have to learn eventually. Allah musta'an. You have to be around good friends. By the time they get to year 11 and 12, everyone's done it. Or if they haven't done it, they're watching it through that thing beginning with P. You guys know. Kids don't. So it's normalized. It's normalized. Again, this young boy, this young girl, they want to be good. But everyone at school's doing it. Everyone in society is doing it. It becomes hard for them. The places that you go and visit. Someone says, yes, I want to be a good person. But on Saturday and Sunday, hot day, what does he want to do? He wants to get down to the beach. What are you doing to yourself when you go to these places? Even if you say, Sheikh, Wallah, I want to stay away from it. We know as men and women, we're attracted to the opposite gender. So when you go into places where you know they're in their most beautified, revealed form, then what happens to your heart? Without doubt, it gets swayed. And so the shaitan moves you closer and closer and closer to haram. A person gets a girl as a friend, not a girlfriend, a girl as a friend. And that girl as a friend, it's just nice and innocent. Sheikh, no, we don't do anything haram. We just sometimes we talk about work, or sometimes just talk about life, we're just talking about things in general, but there's nothing haram, Sheikh. Again, that's where the shaitan wants to start. And then we'll move on, step by step. Sheikh, we just go for coffee. We just go for lunch. We don't do anything, Sheikh. I don't even look at her as like my sister, Sheikh. There's nothing between us. It's just lunch, coffee, just basic things. Then, next step, she has troubles in her life. She's opening up to you. Her boyfriend treated her bad, or her husband, for the adults, the older ones, her husband treated her bad. And who's there to listen? And who's there to make her feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside? You. Because you're everything that the wife wants in a husband. Someone for her to complain to and not give her any suggestions. This is a tip for the ones that aren't married. Who's not married? When you get married, just so you know, when your wife complains to you, she's not complaining because she wants a solution. She's complaining because she wants to complain. Jayyid? That's what she's doing. So who gives her that? That her friend. Her friend, and then he agrees with her as well, because it's her friend. So what ends up happening? A simple touch, a simple this, a simple that, and it leads to worse things. That's why we're told not to follow the footsteps of shaitan. That's why Allah tells us, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not go near zina, don't go near fornication, don't go near adultery. Today, I was at home and there was an ad for a new series that came out, and this thing, all of it is just about fornication, and it's all to do with women that are married. So not even men, who are the ones biologically speaking more prone to fornicate, even the women who this is not in their nature. Women, it's in their nature to be content with one man. This is a woman's nature. What's happening more and more, it is day and night thrown out in media that no, you as a woman, it's normal if you go and cheat on your spouse. This year, the advertisement for this show, all of it was about her as a woman cheating on her spouse, and it being normalized, and it being glorified, and it being thrill-seeking, etc. This is a major issue. Why? Because females, Muslim or non-Muslim, are watching these shows, unfortunately, and they are being influenced by these shows. And this is why you see the rate of infidelity between spouses skyrocketing. And then you have worse than that. In previous times, I'm not saying right and wrong, but I'm showing the effect of media on us as individuals. Forget right and wrong. In previous times, if the norm, if a man cheated on a woman, would they usually stay together or would they usually separate? The norm, I'm not saying what's right and wrong. I'm saying what was the norm? If a man cheated on a woman, would they usually stay together or separate? Separate. Wrong.
Stay together.
The norm was that they would stay together. That was the norm. I'm not saying it's right, but they used to look at it like the man made a stupid mistake. His impulses got the better of him. He made a stupid mistake. I'm not belittling. He made a stupid mistake. The woman has much more reason to stay married than to, or stay in this relationship, than to leave. Especially if it's a stupid mistake. Not saying it's ongoing, it was a stupid mistake. The norm in previous times, if the woman cheated on the husband, was it that they stayed together or that they left? That they left. Why? Because of the immense jealousy a man has over his females. And again, this is not something that it is disgusting or from patriarchy or any of those disgusting words that they throw out today in order to misguide people from that which their nature dictates, that which is instilled in them, the way that they're created. This was their norm. A man, he's got jealousy over his women, and it can't go through his mind that my wife cheated on me. Okay? Call her whatever you want. This was the reality. So that led to a big split. This was in previous times. Nowadays, think of the shows, think of the movies, think of the songs, think of the famous people, think of what's thrown out to us day and night. The guy cheats on the wife, or the guy cheats on the girlfriend. What does everyone tell this girl to do? Leave him. Leave this guy. How can he stay with this guy? This guy is a person who's cheated on you. This guy's a person wrong, which maybe is the right advice. Again, I'm not saying right and wrong. This is case specific. Was it a stupid mistake on the man's part, which he's learned from, and there's many more reasons for them to stay together? Or is this how he is? This is in nature. He's a serial offender. Assalamu alaikum. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying how it's changed. Nowadays, in society, based on what's promoted in the media, when the woman cheats on the man, what's every movie that you watch, every show that you watch, what happens when the woman cheats on the man? She's supported. She's supported. You know what? She done it out of a mistake. They were going through a rough time. She was drunk. Whatever the reason was, it's become justified. And she's become like she's the victim. And so the man now is like, no, you know what? If you're a good husband, if you're a good boyfriend, you support your wife or your girlfriend in this time. You look at the reasons why this happened and you rectify them. And she's made a mistake and you should forgive her for the mistake that she made. Look at how everything's flipped. It used to be, that's how human nature dictated men and women reacted to the situation. Now, because of media, we've been that influenced. We've been that influenced as a society that the exact opposite happens without us even paying attention to. That's how people easily fall into matters of zina, without them even thinking, because they've taken it as a norm. They've taken it as a norm. You know, when you're sitting down in front of the TV, look at anyone. For those that have kids, watch your kids. For those that are adults, just watch another person when they are watching TV. Look at their faces. There is no life in their faces. They are sitting, and the way it is you are just receiving. You are just receiving all of this information. Whatever you watch, whatever you see becomes your norm, whether you realize it or not. You don't even realize that you're accepting all of these things. The way women dress, the way men dress, the way people speak, the way people act, the way people react to things, the way people deal with situations, what goals and aspirations people have in their life. People just repeat things like parrots. They don't even know, where did I get that from? My parents aren't like that, my schools aren't like that, my society is not like that. But they do it because this is how it affects us, this media. It's how it affects without us even knowing. So when we talk about fornication and how bad of a sin it is, you want to ensure that you go about it the Islamic way, which is you do not go near zina, which means you stay away from the things that push you towards zina. Avoid looking at the things that bring about those desires. Avoid being in the places that bring about those desires. Avoid the listening to things that bring about the desires. Avoid the social media usage that brings about those desires, etc. This is something very, very, very important when you speak about this matter. We continue. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. And those who are regarding that which they've been entrusted with and their contracts, they look after. We did speak a little bit about this last week, that when you are entrusted with something, you need to look after it. You need to go about it the best way possible. And the opposite is the trait of the hypocrites, as we mentioned, with the Tumina Khan. The hypocrite, from the traits of the hypocrites, is that when he's entrusted with something, he abuses it. He doesn't look after it properly. For example, you borrow your friend's car, we said, you borrow your friend's car, and you drive it like you would never drive your own car. Now you're dumping seconds and double clutching it, every corner, and you do things with the handbrake that no one should do except a millionaire. Jayid, you destroy the car because it's not yours, you don't have that much of a care of it. This is wrong. This is not right. Sometimes you're given something valuable and you leave it outside where it gets wrecked. All of these things are examples of not looking after that which you've been entrusted with. We gave the example of a lot of tradies where they are given an open house, go and work in a person's house, and they have free reign and free access, and sometimes people aren't there. if they do things that they're not meant to do in the house, this is all wrong. Or sometimes there isn't a person overlooking every centimeter of their work. Please do this job and do it properly. Then they go and they don't do the job properly. Why? Because there was no way they cut corners. All of these are major issues. And we as Muslims, it's instilled in us, or it should be instilled in us as part of our belief in Allah Azza wa Jal, that we are not worried about the creation seeing us or not, and only that as a consequence, but rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose vision never goes, whose knowledge never goes. He sees everything that we do. You may be able to get away with things in this dunya. Cut corners, not dig as deep, not put things on the right angle, not use the right material for a certain job in order to get away with it. And so you save a bit of money in this dunya. If you get away with it, you get away with it. But if you were entrusted with something, doing a job a particular way, and you didn't fulfill that trust, then you are going to be held accountable on the day of judgment for that. This is not something to be belittled. Sometimes a person pays money for a service. For example, teachers. Teachers, you're being paid to do a certain job. There's some teachers I know, half the class they're on their phone. If you're a teacher, you need to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not about wallah, if the principal walks in, you hide your phone, you get away from the principal. You're entrusted, you're getting paid to, not wallah, I was thinking about you. I just remembered there's a teacher with us. Okay. Wallah, I was thinking about you.
I think some of your students on their phone.
I'm like, this guy, he's going to think I was speaking about him now. Not about you, Mr. D. Jayid, you're not the person that came to my mind. But you're entrusted to do a job. So you come to class, and after class you're on your phone. So you're not looking after the students, you're not giving the students the quality they deserve. You're not giving them even the emotional support that they deserve. You're not teaching them from your heart, etc. You're entrusted to do a job. And so you need to do it properly. There's a lot of things where people do very, very, very dodgy. Like everyday examples of how people do things dodgy. One of the dodgiest things we always get asked about is, if you have someone hired, you got a developer, for example, and you got a builder that's hired to do the job. And instead of him looking out for the best interest of the developer, of the one that he's building for, he looks for his best interest. Listen, I'll give you the $100,000 contract for the plumbing, but give me a kickback of 10K, for example. This is not allowed. You're hired to do a job. You're getting paid to do a job. You need to look out for the best interest of the one that's hiring you. You can't get paid and then also get paid by the person giving you a kickback. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. This is a bribe. And the Prophet ﷺ told us that Allah Azza wa Jal curses the one that takes a bribe. The one that gives a bribe, the one without need, and the one who takes a bribe. So these are things, again, people, unfortunately, they belittle. They think in this dunya, there's no consequences, but there is on the day of judgment. There is on the day of judgment. And their contracts. If you have a ahad with someone, you've got a contract, you've got a covenant with someone, you need to uphold that. One of the biggest contracts a person takes in his life is what?
Interest.
No. What? Marriage. Very good. Marriage. One of the biggest contracts a person takes is marriage. When you sign that contract, verbally or physically, you were taking that daughter of that father, you were taking the sister of that brother, you were taking this woman on what understanding? They're going to be good to her, or that you're going to treat her like rubbish? Of course you took that contract that you're going to treat her well. What happens if you can't fulfill your contract? Say Assalamu alaikum. If you cannot treat your spouse properly, and there's no way to fix or rectify that relationship, end it in goodness. But for marriage to stay because you don't want to leave it, and you treat the person like garbage, this is not a contract that you've upheld. And again, people think that this is belittled. People think that it's something simple. Oh, her dad can't do anything, her brother can't do anything, let them try, her family's overseas, whatever the case is, she wouldn't leave me. It's not this dunya that you need to worry about. You know, when someone takes their right in this dunya, this is easy. When someone takes their right in this dunya, this is easy. For example, the brothers came and bashed the husband who was bad, and so the woman got her right and she was divorced from her husband. For example, that's simple. خلاص, you got your punishment in this dunya, inshallah there's nothing for you in the hereafter. Or you didn't want to give people their money, someone came and put it on you, and you had to pay the money back. That's something easy. That you got, you got that, what you deserve in this dunya. I'm not saying go and do physical violence, no one misunderstands me. I'm saying if there was some consequence in this dunya, this is easy. Because on the day of judgment, you're going to have to pay those rights back. The one who oppressed a wife, or the wife who oppresses her husband, you think, oh, because the Australian court gives me XYZ rights, so I'm going to take it, I'm going to abuse it. If you took it in this dunya, the man couldn't do anything. No problem. On the day of judgment, you're going to be held accountable for what you've done. You're going to be held accountable. You need to be very, very, very careful that when you take any contract, you have any covenant with people, that you uphold that and you do it properly. Wallah, it's very sad. As Muslims, we have the best of beliefs because it's so pure. We have the best of acts of worship because they're so pure. And we have the best of morals and values and conduct because they're so pure. The only issue that we have is with Muslims not following it properly. Muslims not following the proper beliefs, no Muslims not following the proper acts of worship, and or Muslims not following the proper way to be as a Muslim. And this is something extremely saddening. And all of it goes back to, if you remember, one main problem, which is the problem of a lack of iman. A lack of true belief in Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, there's a belief in Allah's existence without doubt. But a lack of true belief that I'm going to be held accountable for my actions. If this person thought of that in every action that he did, a lot of things in our lives would be extremely different. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. And Allah Azza wa Jal repeats again, and those who regarding their prayers are protective. They guard their prayers. They look after their prayers. They don't just pray, wallah, at the end of the day. They don't just pray at the end of time. Dhuhr is Asr is at 3 o'clock. They don't pray wallah at 2:55. They protect their prayers, they preserve their prayers. Give me examples of ways that you preserve your prayer. Quick, yallah. How do you preserve your prayer? Give me an example, quick. Praying on time. Beginning of the time, middle of the time, end of the time. At the beginning of time is best. Except for what? When is? I need to ask Abdul Khalik.
Well, you say all of them really quickly.
What's the prayer that's best delayed? He said that because Ammar Walid said that. He's a teacher. Let him teach you maths. Aisha is best left delayed to the end of the end of the first third of the night. But this is a different matter. Second time when it's better, or it's not necessary that the best time to pray is the beginning time.
I didn't understand the question.
So the general rule is the beginning of the time is best, except for Isha, it's better if you're going to pray by yourself, the end of the the first third of the night. There's another time or another circumstance where it's not necessarily the best time to pray.
Traveling?
La.
Keep going for the question, sir.
It's not necessarily, the circumstance is not necessarily best, that it is to be prayed at the beginning time.
It's the same question, but instead
It's a circumstance.
best to delay, second best to delay.
It's a circumstance.
I think you've said the right question.
If you're unwell.
This is part of it.
What did you say? What's the other question?
Oh, Sheikh, if you're traveling.
What is a circumstance in which praying at the beginning of the time is not necessarily the best time?
Fajr or Dhuhr. Asr, Maghreb.
Yunus.
Good affair.
Or who said Dhuhr, put the hands up?
One more guess. Certainly when you're praying in Jama'ah, it is better to pray in Jama'ah even if they delay the prayer a little bit than to pray at the beginning time. Jayyid. That's why I kept saying circumstance. And circumstance, not specific example. أصلحكم الله عز وجل. طيب. Ustadh Walid. What's another way that a person can preserve their prayers? Can look after their prayers, can guard their prayers?
Coming to the masjid.
Sheikh, the tissue box is behind you.
Coming to the masjid, tayyib. A person coming to the masjid. Jayyid, this is where you have, generally speaking, more khushu', where you pray behind the imam that reads any longer surah from the Quran. So you pray longer. You're more likely to pray your nafil prayers in the masjid, like tahiyyat al-masjid, sunnah prayer, witr prayer, etc. This is our way to love your prayers more and to look after your prayers. Yunus.
Pray more and pray longer.
Pray more and pray longer. This is the way to get more khushu' in your prayer. Jayyid. Okay, to pray more, to look after your prayers more. If you're used to, for example, praying your sunnah prayers, how many sunnah prayers are there in a day? Sunnah al-rawatib.
Ask.
Tommy.
We've got to work it out, you know. 4.
No, 12.
4 before and 4 after the work.
No, this is a fail. Yunus.
How's that a foul, Sheikh? You don't even
Whoa.
12, stop there, good. Stop, خلاص, stop. Then خلاص, 12. You said 12, that's it. Okay. When a person prays, his sunnah prays. And the norm is his sunnah prays. If he's ever tired or sick or lazy or whatever it may be, what's the worst thing he's going to leave from his prayers? His sunnah prayers. That's the worst thing he's going to leave. But a person never prays his sunnah prayers. When he's tired or sick or lazy, what happens? What does he end up missing? He misses his fard. So the sunnah prayers, you don't get sinned if you miss. You don't get sinned if you miss. But your fard prayers, your obligatory prayers, this is from the worst of major sins that a person can commit. Jade, tell us your name for those that don't know you. Yusuf. Yusuf, how's a way that a person can guard their prayers?
You said sunnah, but you said
Think. To learn how to pray properly, excellent. Okay, you were thinking it, sir? Maybe you're thinking it, maybe, Allah Alam. For a person to learn how to pray properly, you wanna look after your prayers, make sure you know how to pray properly. Again, not the way your Taita or Judda taught you, مع كل احترام للأجداد. Except that you need to make sure that you pray properly. A lot of people, they're praying incorrectly. Their Fatiha is wrong. What they say in the Tahiyyat is wrong. The way that they start the prayer is wrong. If they come late to the prayer, they don't know what to do. If they're praying Jama'ah, they don't know what to do. If they miss a prayer, they don't know how to make it up. All of these are problems. So when you pray properly, you're looking after your prayer. Amen. What's another way a person look after his prayers?
Making wudu correctly.
Good. To prepare for the salah properly. Like making wudu properly. If your wudu is wrong, then what happens with your salah? Automatic X. Automatic. A lot of people make wudu wrong. I've mentioned before, once I walked into Salat al-Jum'ah and I had to make wudu before. I went in to make wudu. Because of the people that I say making wudu, I changed my whole khutbah about wudu. So I have to talk about wudu. Because they all were making wudu wrong. And not wrong as in, wallah, instead of 3 times I done it once. That's not wrong. You haven't done what's best, but you've done at least the minimum. I'm talking about that would wash here and the elbows are dry. That's an incomplete wudu. They would put their foot underneath the tap and the water just runs over. They're not doing their heels. Now, that's a problem. When they wash their faces, some of them just splash water. They don't make sure that it goes to all sides of the face. All of these are things that make your wudu void. So a person needs to make sure that they prepare properly for the salah. And that begins with things like wudu, or if a person needs to do ghusl, that they've done ghusl correctly, etc. But there are many ways that a person looks after and guards his prayer. There are many ways that a person looks after and guards his prayer. I want one more. But I want one more, like really good one.
Coming to the prayer calmly, not rushing it like.
This is one of the ways, but it's not the one that I want. It's one that I want to focus on.
Stay away from social media too much.
Stay away from social media too much. This is definitely one. That'll help you with everything in life. Understanding what you're saying, this is a way to get khushu' in your prayer. هذا متعلق بالخشوع. This is part of concentration. Athman.
Praying very confidently.
Very what?
extra salat like tahajjud or
These are all the things that I help. But like that goes like sunnah.
انه تجعل في بيتك مكان
If I ask Mojo what day of the week it is, I'm struggling to believe that he's going to know the answer.
Staying away from haram, Sheikh.
Staying away from haram is going to help you in your prayers, yes. But it's something very specific. It's extremely important. And that's the answer that I want. Eating food.
Not the halal food. Seriously.
Yeah, we shouldn't pray when you're hungry.
عند البخاري الباب
you
الحظوظ عن موضوع لا تجعلوا في بيوتكم من صلاتكم ولا تتخذوها قبورا.
لا.
يعني
كل هذه الأشياء مهمة. But there's something very, very, very important that is the answer that I want. That one. I'm giving you a clue.
Facing the Qibla.
Facing the Qibla.
Sheikh, this is more going back on what Emma said. Sheikh, if you have to go to the toilet,
Wrong.
shot.
I've given you the answer maybe 3 times now. Understanding the importance of prayer. تعظيم الصلاة. No one said تعظيم الصلاة. Glorifying the prayer. Understanding the importance of prayer. If a person looks at his prayer as if it is something which is like non-negotiable in my life, the prayer is something extremely important. This is a meeting between me and Allah Azza wa Jal. This is one of the greatest obligations in my life. Would he ever belittle the prayer? Would he make his wudu bad? Would he pray not knowing what he's saying? Would he ever delay the prayer? Would he ever have hardship praying his sunnah prayers? Would he ever have an issue working towards getting khushu in his prayer? He would never have those issues. But because we belittle our prayer, that's why we belittle these things. I'll give you a parable. People that are gym junkies. Doesn't look like there's any here, Allah Barik, besides one.
which one?
A person's a gym junkie. Can he fathom missing one day not going to the gym without a good reason? Almost impossible. What does he do? He plans his whole day around gym. His whole diet is around his gym. His pre-workout, his post-workout is about gym. He goes to sleep watching gym videos. When he walks past the mirror, he's always looking at himself tensing. Why? To give him more motivation for the gym. Everything in his life is about the gym. Everything. Why? Because of how much importance he has on it. Someone who works out casually. That guy, there's a few of them here. He's got a gym membership, he's had it for the past 3 years. And he's got an average of 0.7 times in those past 3 years. Naam, you're exactly what I was talking about. Don't worry, it shows. You can say something offensive back, it's okay. I'm strong, alhamdulillah, thick skin, alhamdulillah. These people, they don't have that much importance on gym, and so you see them, they don't care. I go gym today, I don't go, I eat, I diet, I don't diet, it is what it is. The same thing with the salah. The one whose salah is the most important thing. You see them, they work their lives around salah. We not as much now, because everything is online shopping, but previously we used to have an issue with a lot of the females and shopping. So we would always get asked a question, for example, can a woman pray in her car? Why? Or can a woman pray like joining the prayers? Why? Because she was shopping and there was nowhere to pray, so she wanted to pray in her car. Or Dhuhr is at 12 o'clock and she goes shopping at 11:50. So she knows she's going to be there for 2-3 hours, then she has to pick up the kids, so she couldn't pray. Can she like pray on the side of the road in her car, Masjid? Or when she's parked the car, can she pray? This was always an issue. Why, ukhti, why don't you wait 10-15 minutes, pray at home, and then go shopping? Or go, for example, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., go shopping, even if it's 2-3 hours, you still get back home and you can pray at home on time. You will work when you look after your salah, when you love the salah, when you glorify the salah, when salah is something important in your life, you will work your life around the salah. You work your life around the salah. But a person who doesn't have that ability, who always says, I can't pray, I can't do this, I'm struggling, let them look back first and foremost at, is the salah aslan important in their life? And if anyone struggles with that, let them like read a book about salah, let them listen to a series about salah, so they understand the importance of salah in their life and in Islam. Allah Azza wa Jalla says about them, أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. These people are the ones who inherit the paradise, al-Firdaus, and they therein are abiding therein forever. As we mentioned last week, the inheritors, what does it mean by they inherit? What do they inherit? And how do they inherit? We mentioned that last week. Ayman not allowed to answer. We mentioned that last week. How do these believers inherit the paradise? Allah yahdikum. If you guys do not get this answer, wallah, I'm upset.
Say it again, Sheikh.
Allah Azza says, أولئك هم الوارثون. They are the ones that inherit. الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. They inherit the paradise. What do they inherit in paradise, these people?
Sheikh, like if you say certain adhkar, you might
No.
Damn, man.
What do you inherit
I've
in
been inside.
paradise?
You
What
don't
do you
know.
inherit in
What? How Allah says they inherit in the
How?
paradise. What do they inherit in paradise and how?
a house? Golden house.
We mentioned that last week. Yunus, when you want to do something sly,
Minimum 2 wives.
you have to do it in a way that you don't get busted. When you walk across the room like a raccoon to the sheikh to try and get him to whisper in your ear, it's not very quiet at all. You have to be very discreet.
You said that people who sit on the wall are only successful.
Yes,
I went on a festival.
without a reason.
What's that thing called? Hor al-Ain? No.
From which side?
No, Sheikh, hear me out.
Is it how do they inherit paradise or how do they
What do they inherit in paradise?
everything, whatever they want?
Is there something like specific? I didn't work. Sorry, Sheikh.
Ayman, you know the answer?
Allah's mercy, wasn't it?
Allahu Akbar alayk.
Oh, Sheikh,
Is that Raham, Sheikh?
It's wrong, his answer's wrong.
Oh. I think Allah, I think you got it right.
Sheikh.
Sheikh,
Something
easy.
on
Wallah, I'm upset from you guys. Allah yahdikum.
Oh, what was nothing is, Sheikh?
You might have said
The Prophet's dua.
And the Muslims.
We said it before. We've given a lesson here on it, but that was a long time ago. So don't worry about the lesson that we gave a long time ago. But we explained last week. Allah Azza wa Jal created a place in paradise and hellfire for everyone. صح؟
And the Christians, you inherit the
دغري
Christians.
دغري على النصارى بس كل الكفار.
Oh, this.
Allah Azza wa Jal, right now, every single person has a place in Jannah and has a place in Jahannam. Yes, remember we mentioned that last week? Yes. Good. So every person that right now has a place in paradise and has a place in the hellfire. The people that go to the hellfire for eternity, what happens to what they have their place in paradise? Now, who inherits it? These are the types of people that inherit it. Jayyid. So the spots that will never be filled in paradise because the person died on disbelief and he goes to the hellfire forever. The believers with these traits through the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal inherit those people. You said the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah yahdik. Naam. This is bad. Okay, this is not good. That's like very bad.
We do remember that, Sheikh. Wallah, we do. You remember that?
Just when you ask
the
the
kuffar.
question,
And say that in your HSC. Look, I did know the answer, but it was just the way the question was worded.
Yeah.
Inshallah, we'll give you an exam. Inshallah, we'll give you an exam last week. We'll stop here, inshallah, azza wa jalla. Allahu alam. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala alihi Muhammad sahbihi ajma'in. Any questions?